what was the catalyst for you? Like what said, now's the time, let's do it?
Trees did.
Trees? Trees.
Yeah.
Feel for you.
Say more about that.
Yeah. So I was living. I had gradually over the past couple of years started to get a practice of Druidry and this is my version of.
Oh yeah, Druidist.
Yeah, this is my version of Druidism. There is very formal Druidism that I'm not going to claim to subscribe to. I have crafted my own. I just go into woods, into forest, and I talk with the forest, and feel, and sometimes hug trees, and
You're a tree hugger.
yeah, and just be with them. Sometimes I rub my breast on them, but
Now this has gone too far,
Yeah.
Nova. You're having sexual relations with forestry.
I want to be clear. I don't like really get down with the trees, but
Oh my God.
it's more of a ceremony.
I have had enough.
It's more of a ceremonial thing, but yeah. Anyways, I had been kind of like teetering on transition for about, and nobody knew this. I had a partner who knew about it, but I'd been teetering on transitioning for probably about like 5 or 7 years, going back to my time in Chicago and a little bit before I left Texas to go to
When did you
Chicago.
know you were a female? When did you know, like, because I imagine there's a lot of things you could be. You could be a gay man. You could be a cross-dresser. You could be
for
all
a long
these
time.
things.
For a long time, I thought, well, maybe I'm just some version of gay or something. Ironically, I am, but not how I was expecting. And I knew I wasn't a cross-dresser because for myself, I hated the term and the application of that. I was like, no, I'm not just. It was the more I would dress, I'd be like, well, I don't want to just be a dude playing around in underwear. I want to actually be a woman.
You want to express
It's not
in the world as a woman.
Yeah. And there's more to it.
You are a woman. You want to be
there's
get
a
in
lot,
alignment.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than than being a woman. But
yeah.
But I was like, yeah, it's like I don't want to just, it's not a play thing. It's a being, And I had moved into this house out in the country near Aubrey, which is close to Denton. And, well, I don't talk about this that much, but I think there was like a spirit. I think it's the man who used to live in the house. Apparently he was quite an interesting character. And it was tucked in this beautiful grove of oak trees. And I felt like during that time, I really started getting more immersed into, for me, like feminine energy. And I would spend much longer periods. This is right around when the pandemic, COVID kind of hit. I would just, because nothing was going on, I'd spend a lot of time, quote unquote, dressed. And I'd had a girlfriend at the time who knew about it, and she was like, well, it's cool if you want to do it as like kind of a thing, but I'm not going to be with you if you're going to transition. Because I was like, well, what if and she's like, well, I don't, in their opinion, they're like, well, I don't think you're necessarily trans. I just think you enjoy the feeling of being in women's clothing. And I was like, okay. And it was like this big bumbled, it took years to kind of build on this. I moved to another house, funny enough, on that same street, down the street, that was more in the woods, like in deep woods. And I went out and prayed one day, walked into the woods. And I had been wrestling with, I'd had an attraction to a partner from a previous relationship going back many, many years, talking about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been like a block on me being able to connect with other partners because I was really infatuated with this partner, which is a weird thing to admit to, but I'm be honest about it. And I'd gone into the woods to pray. I said, you have to help me let go of this. And I want you to bring light through me. I, funny enough, did not ask, bring my womanness forward. I said, bring love out of my heart. About a month and a half later, I met the person who I would be with when I transitioned, a woman. Initially, our relationship was really good. Now, the first week that I met, I told her about this whole side. I said, well, I've kind of been on the fence about transitioning for a couple years. To my surprise, she was like, that's cool. Like, I see you. You know, I don't care. Cool. You know, most women that I'd come across were like either, or cool. I like that, but
not for me.
And so I was like, okay. And we ended up initially developing like a pretty good friendship, pretty good relationship. And then one day for like the 5th time in a row, I'd said to her, I said, you know, I think I'm going to start hormones like this week. And she just looked at me and she said, babe, I always remember it. That person, I don't have the best relationship anymore. I have love and kindness for her, but we're probably not in the best place, and maybe we'll never be, I don't know. But I will always remember that she was there in that moment. She looked at me. She said, you looked me right in the eye, and she said, you be yourself. And there was something about that.
Yeah.
With this person at the time who really loved me, saying that to me, and I just thought, you know, I'm going to do it. And I started like hormones like about a week after that. And as I reflected, and I continued to go into the woods more and more, and I would talk to them about bringing this energy that had been inside of me for thousands of years, is the way I look at it. And I kind of lost my thought, but I go back to that prayer that I had in the woods, you know, many months before that. They saw me. They knew what needed to happen. They cracked. And the other part of being how I am now is I'm a much more loving person. I'm a much more actively kind person. And I've had to curate that more and more because I've encountered prejudice and hatred. And the more I've gotten that, the more I have learned that you have to be proactively kind. You have to be proactively inclusive. Because if I'm not going to do it after having incurred discrimination and hatred, then no one will, right? I don't know if that makes sense. But I believe that those woods, when I asked them to bring light and love out of me, I believe a big part of it is they saw me. They saw where I was at. And anyways, I believe that trees are the greatest masters on the planet. I believe almost like they're like demigods.
Your relationship with nature and trees specifically, but then also your relationship with a loving presence in your life that said,
someone that said, hey,
you go, girl.
Yeah.
Like, I got you. Or
and that helped.
Be you.
And it really helped.
Which might have been the message you needed to hear from your mom or your dad when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the first person to ever say that to you.
Yeah.
And that had that loving bond and that connection that gave you some sense of like, the world's got my back.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because an ego part of me sometimes resists talking about that because that person and I don't have like the best, you know.
You want to take that away from her because y'all don't have a good relationship.
That's right.
A part of you does.
But the truth part of me says, no, that happened and it was a beautiful thing and I'm grateful for it, you know.
Regardless of how your relationship is now, she had that impact on you in that moment and it was a tremendous catalyst for you.
It was, yeah. Yeah. No, incurred all sorts of trauma ironically, from other stuff that happened in that relationship I was kind of like gate-kept on, well, women don't drink water like that. Women don't take their shirts off like that. That was not healthy for my early formation from that same person. But
she wanted to give you the guidelines for being a woman with regard to how to take off a shirt and drink water.
Yeah, there were more things than that too.
Goodness.
But you know,
she was going to have you be a proper woman.
I don't know what a proper woman is.
This is all just a joke.
Okay,
what I'm doing now.
I thought that's what we were doing, but yeah, you know, and to be
women are all kind of different ways.
100%, yeah.
They
to
take
be compassionate,
their shirts off all kind of different ways.
Absolutely,
some of them could just rip that mug.
I take my shirt off proudly, however the hell I want to take my shirt off. But to have some compassion for that person, that they were learning just as much as I was learning.
Yeah,
you know, they didn't, you know, they likely know now better ways to engage with a trans person or whatnot. So, but yeah, that was a large part of what got me there. But there was a lot of years of going, yeah, I hear it, I feel it, a lot of fear, a lot of But now after having done that, I'm fearless in so many more ways now. Like when I did like my activism and some of the activism I've done, I don't have any fear. I respect people who do.